Thank you for standing by, and welcome to the BUN webcast. During today's webcast, attendees will be in listen-only mode. There will be a Q&A session at the end of today's call. If you have a question during the presentation, you may submit it online by entering it into the QA panel. If you're in full screen view, click the question icon located in the floating toolbar at the lower side of your screen. Simply type a question into the dialog box and click the send button. If you're in the split screen mode, the Q&A panel is already open and is located on the lower right side of your screen. As a reminder, this presentation is being recorded. If you are experiencing technical issues, please contact WebEx Technical Support. Our speaker today is John Kadike, Central Zone Technical Manager. John, please go ahead.
Hi, welcome to the webcast. My name is John with Bun-O-Matic. Today we're going to be going over torque issues that you might have with a Bun Ultra 2 machine. Torque issues, locking up, freezing up, and we're not talking about ice on the outside of the hopper. We're talking about the product over freezing, freezing improperly inside the hopper, which locks up the auger to the drum here. Generally, that's attributed to the sugar content of product. So the machine is designed obviously to get cold and freeze whatever you put in there. How that product freezes depends on the sugar content. So if you have a lower sugar level, the product freezes at a higher temperature, and the more sugar you have in it, it has to get colder in order for it to freeze to the same consistency. We measure the torque to get that level of consistency. No matter what level of sugar you have in the product, it all looks the same on setting 8, 9, or 10 between the two, even though it might freeze at a different temperature. Some trouble that can arise from that if you don't have enough sugar in the product, this auger locks up and freezes to the drum itself. To give you an idea of the mechanism, this is a motor here and a drive shaft, and this is right here, and this end of this shaft clips on to the auger. So that's internally, that's what, let me clip it in there. So that's internally what's happening. So when this auger gets locked up, it puts some stress on some components we have in here. I'm going to try to get closer here to the camera and show you. This is, back up, there we go. There's a good focus. So we have these two, we call torque pins, or position sensor pins. So if you look down the barrel here, it looks like they're sticking up like a V. There's a certain distance apart. So as the slush gets thicker, it puts a lot of drag on the auger, and what happens is the torsion bars inside the shaft will twist, making these pins farther apart. That's how the machine knows how thick the product is, by reading how far apart these pins are. So the problem we're talking about today is if the auger gets locked up, which is attached to the shaft, consequently the shaft can't move, but the motor's still trying to turn. And the way that this motor is designed, if it gets locked up, it releases itself, and then it locks up again and releases itself. And that ends up banging this pin right here back and forth in the slot of the shaft. And that causes this pin to break. So the resulting error that you'll see on the screen is torque sensor error. A lot of times when somebody sees a torque sensor error on the screen, they assume that the torque sensor board is the problem. So they change that and they're still kind of stuck. One thing to note, that if you do have a broken pin because of a torque issue, they're very difficult to change out. We have a tool, and we're going to put the part number up on the screen, but I'll just read it off to you. It's 48401.1000, and that is a pin replacement tool, and this is a tool right here. So I'm not going to demonstrate how to use it, but basically there's a bolt here, a press bolt, and you can see that there. So you'll insert a new pin into the bolt. You'll put the tool around the drive shaft here, and then tighten the bolt up, and it presses the pin in and presses the old broken pin out. And this is actually a set of torsion springs that we use in the shaft, and we put those right in the end of the slot of the motor just to keep the spacing there so you don't bend them. So that's the result of a torque issue. So let's talk about what can cause this? Mainly, not enough sugar. That's the short answer. So if you're having torque problems or the auger's locking up and kind of getting jittery on the drum, chances are the product that you're using doesn't have enough sugar in it. There's a couple of little side notes to that. There's a difference between a regular real sugar and fructose corn syrup or something like that. So if you're using the corn syrup, what we recommend in our manual is Brix of at least 12 or higher. If you're using real sugar and not high fructose corn syrup, or some other configurations and flavorings, and a lot of different things can affect this stuff, but you may need to bring that Brix level up between somewhere around 16 to 20 range or something like that. Basically, if you're having problems, the product isn't going to work. So change the formulation, add a little bit more sugar or sweeten or something along those lines. Another thing that can cause something like this is dairy products. So if you have a mocha and it has powdered milk in it, the way the milk freezes, it freezes hard and fast on the drum. So as it's freezing down, you'll get that same jitter effect. Now once it's frozen, it tends to mellow out and be okay, but during that freeze cycle, you could have the problem. And you might say, well, you let it freeze and then it's okay, but the problem is you turn this into night mode every night and it shuts down, then it refreezes the next morning. So every day you have a new potential to break something in the machine. So if you see that happening and you have a mocha product, use a different product or reformulate the product so that you don't have that trouble. I guess that's all. Basically, sugar level, sugar content, watch out for dairy. And if you're having trouble, either reformulate the product or somehow add the sugar. Okay, I can tell you also, I forgot about this, I apologize. You can have a product that works just fine if you have both barrels full, but if you use one barrel and not the other one, all the Freon is going to one barrel, and that makes it freeze a lot quicker. And a lot more solid. So if you have product that you've been using for quite a while and it's worked just fine and you all of a sudden start having trouble, it might be if you're just using one hopper or one side to this. Also, if one side starts to get low and exposes the drum, you can have trouble like that. It can freeze hard and fast and start locking things up. So we have several autofill systems that keep all the product topped off, so that can avoid those kind of troubles. But if you have any questions or you run into this and this problem and this video isn't covering the answers that you need, give us a call in our tech services department. The phone number is 1-800-286-6070. That is available evenings and weekends also. So if you're having trouble on the weekend and it's not freezing right for a party or something like that, call us up and we can go over some options for you. So I guess that's all we have. Thanks for joining us, and hope this video was useful, and have a good rest of your day.